don't measure, and I don't use pins. I was never taught to use a machine, so I just taught myself, and I just loved it. Everything I make is used without measuring, without templates, without patterns, and it's all just free-flowing designs. The name of my company is Mamaka Mills, and that comes from Sweet Mama in Hawaiian. And what I do is I am a sustainable quilter. And so essentially I reuse textiles and fabrics and make them into unique, one-of-a-kind contemporary quilt. Sustainable to me is being able to create a product that leaves minimal impact on the earth. So the product that I make, the quilts, are used making recycled materials. So it's not necessarily using new technology or manufacturing something that's organic or eco-friendly. It's actually reusing what already exists, which to me is the definition of sustainability. I use a lot of clothing, and I use a lot of all different kinds of textiles. Right now I'm using a lot of men's woven shirts, you know, just button-up Oxford shirts, and I also use a lot of velvets. So I really love when I find an old vintage velvet dress, and I love using different kinds of velvets. I get a lot of clothing that people donate to me and people bring to me, and sometimes something is, you know, has one little tiny stain on it, and I just cut it out, you know. So I do reuse clothing that would actually not be usable for the traditional purposes, but yeah, just cut it out and just use it. And so what I'll do is I'll take the shirt, and I'll start with the sleeves because I want to get the sleeves out of the way. And then what I do is I cut off this seam, and I just throw it on the ground. And then I cut up the side like that. And then what I'll do is I'll just cut out the collar. And so I want to cut off this back collar part because you can see that there's a fold in there. And then there. And then I have one flat piece of fabric without buttons and without seams and without all those things that I don't want. And so everything that I've done with quilting is all self-taught. So I don't have the traditional boundaries that most quilters would have, and you know, how they traditionally would measure everything and use templates and patterns. And so I've always just been a free-flow quilter, an improvisational quilter, as I like to say. So I never read any quilt books, and you know, I tried using patterns for probably a few months, and then I decided that I just didn't like the way it looked because it just looked like everyone else's quilts. So I wanted to do my own thing. Well, the wall I have is a felt wall, and so I basically covered the entire wall in a really high pile felt. And what I can do is essentially stick my design onto the wall so that I can see it, and that I can make changes if I want to, which makes it really easy when I'm working with varying color, because then I can just see how the entire quilt will look when it's finished. And then I have all my pieces that are kind of stuck together so that I don't have to have them flying all over the place. I don't have them on the floor or on a table. What I'll do is I'll come up to the top of the quilt, and then I'll start grabbing squares. But I keep them all in the same row. So I'll collect this whole row, and then I'll go over to the table and I'll sew it. So basically what I do is I just take the pieces that I pulled off the wall, and I'll put front side to front side, right side, and then I will just sew it. And then I'll just keep going. So it's kind of relaxing to piece as I go. But as I said, it's not a traditional way to do things.